Hello, my name is Michelle. I'm a nurse consultant for the Bethanie group. I work with people with cognitive disabilities, mainly with a diagnosis of dementia. And I've been nursing for over 30 years. I came to Australia in 1987 and I'm very happy to speak with you this morning to share with you my story. Thank you. I guess over the years I was obviously baptised and born into a Catholic community in Manchester a long time ago, and I have had many experiences where I feel I've been led into opportunities in my life that have been very special to me and have had meaning to me. So a good example would be getting into Australia. I think I became more aware of my Christianity then because I wasn't leaving a war-torn country or coming through a refugee camp and dealing with my life. I was coming for a new opportunity as a young person, and so that in itself gave me grateful thanks to God for that. Having my son, again, life is very precious and he's very, very special to me. I met my husband in a church. He was singing next to me. Yes. And then in 2003, I was doing a mentoring program through Women in Leadership with Catherine McCauley, and I wanted to do something different than midwifery. So I went and enrolled in a Master's of Gerontology with a major in dementia. And during those times of studying and doing prac, I realised that I had insight into this disability that could actually help people instead of the way that the pathology of dementia and the way the stigma of dementia is publicised. I felt that I could actually give something more and give people a sense of rehabilitation and hope and meaning and quality of life. So I don't know if someone above me in divine is actually leading me into this, but for me, I feel very privileged, and every day I meet people that reinforce that I'm doing the right thing and I'm helping them, and I feel very, very thankful for that. Yeah, when I get a referral, so usually I get a referral in the community or through residential care through Bethanie. And usually I will go and get the life story of the person first, because when someone is vulnerably and disabled, the focus has always been around what's wrong with them. When I met you for the first time, it was more about where you were born, your story. So I take that aspect of my work to those clients and their family. I never underestimate the spiritual suffering that someone who is living with a diagnosis of dementia is enduring, because often they're being stigmatised by the society where they live. So, for example, their community may not be coming in contact with them or actually not wanting to because they're fearful of what dementia is. The person themselves loses meaning and purpose of their life. And all the time, you can sense that there has to be a way of reaching this person and connecting with them. So that can be through conversation, so being in the moment, because sometimes people can't remember, but they can talk about years ago. It can be through sensory stimulation, through touch, smell, taste, vision and hearing, through music, through food, photographs, or just actually being still in the garden and environment and showing the person that they matter to you and that you're there to be in the moment with them and give them some support to get through each day. So there's no magic pill to this. This is an issue that I feel it's a community social issue. Dementia is the biggest challenge of the 21st century. So as Christians and community, we have an obligation to support people that are living with a cognitive disability, just the same as people living with a physical disability. You go anywhere in the world and you get an ACROD sticker sign that says this building, this park, this shop is friendly for people with a physical disability. Where in Perth or in Australia is there a sign that says people who work in this bank, people who work in this library or this cafe, or this public space are understanding what dementia is and are there to support you. Simple things like signage, people that can't recognise signs might recognise different words, contrast, the colours. There's lots of things that we could be doing for people with a cognitive disability. And so the church community and the community where I work, we're working towards trying to build more dementia-friendly, inclusive community so that people can still live rather than being disabled by their community. Okay, well, a lot of people in Christian communities have always worked and volunteered in that community, from serving communion to greeting people to supporting the people that have had some trauma. And then when their language skills are not working, so the words they can't find, or the sequencing of events, because dementia is different for everyone. We've all got, I'll just briefly explain, we've all got different DNA. We've all got different life experience, different culture, different values. That still stays with us even when we're living with dementia. So that means every single person that you come into contact with dementia is still an individual. So if someone in your church used to work at communion but can no longer sequence and give communion out, maybe there's something else that they could do, which is meet and greet on the door. Maybe they need a backup brain coach, somebody who can just guide and support them. But being made to feel that they're included. And often, because of the disability, they become more excluded by themselves not having the confidence and by them sensing shame in the way they are. And so life is a journey, and at the end of life, or the end of any sort of disease, we all die, but surely it's the journey, not the destination, that we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on how we can help these people to live well and be included. And if someone is chair-bound and can't walk, can't talk, just somebody sitting with them and sharing some music or sharing some pictures or some food is just as important as going to communion and serving in communion, actually being present. Many people have had an interesting life story, and so celebrating the spirituality of that person and their I call it sensory storytelling. So it's actually talking about sharing your story and enabling the youth and the generations to see the value and sanctity of human life and how special life is and should be celebrated. Aging as a stigma. Dementia is not a normal part of aging, but we know that anybody over the age of 75 has a high incidence of dementia or cognitive disability. And there's over 100 types of dementia. So, and dementia starts 20 years in the brain before the first symptom. So surely all the people that are in the church community, there'll be people there today that are struggling with a cognitive or a dementia type. And we have an opportunity to reach out to them and include them. So it could be something as just singing, singing for the brain. We could have a church choir that's singing for the brain. People that can't find words, research shows that when you play music that is meaningful to them, they can often grasp and start connecting. I've seen it so many times. Many, many challenges, and again, that's what my Christian faith gives me, the confidence and the courage to keep doing it. So a good example would be where people that I go and visit, so a daughter, for example, would say, "Oh, Mum can't do anything." And so I might just say, "Well, let's have a cup of tea and have a chat." And there might be a magazine on the table. And I might say to the client, "Oh, could you just tell me what the headlines in this particular day?" The lady said, "Oh, George Clooney's getting married." And the daughter just looked, and I said, "That's what the magazine said." Now, dementia is different for everyone, and sometimes people have really lucid moments and sometimes not. And this particular time, because we were creating a moment and the lady could read, that was to be celebrated. So it's about never underestimating the strengths of people and trying to show examples of how you can help them. Other examples of being challenged, so that was a challenge mainly by families who say mum can't do anything. The other challenge is where people in the public use language that is really demeaning. So, I've had families say, oh, dad's not all there, or mum's not quite a full shilling, or there's no point talking to her because she doesn't get it. And we don't take her out anymore because she's embarrassing by the things that she does. But it's always a way of trying to gain their trust, give them a sense of hope and offer. So a good example would be creative ways to care. So sometimes with people with frontal temporal lobe dementia, their social personality changes, so the social norms of knowing when not to say things can change. And for someone who's been in the Christian community and has always been able to manage those social norms, for their family that they suddenly can't, can be really quite confronting. But if we can accept that it's not them that's doing this is the dementia in the brain that's changing the words and changing the way they see the world, we can actually help to not shame them, but bring them included. So a lady a few weeks ago in one of the shopping centres was really upset because she didn't win on a scratchy at the newsagent, and the newsagent decided that she couldn't go in there anymore. And the carer that was with her was upset, the client was upset, the daughter was upset. And I thought, we have to try and work with this. So I went to see the daughter, I went to see the newsagent, and we decided that we would have a rotating scratchy and a rotating $10. So when she goes, I'll call her Mary, this is just a fictitious name. Mary thinks that she's won, she's happy, and the carer gives the $10 back and the scratchy from the day before, and it rotates each time. Now, people would say that's telling lies, that's unethical, but I would say to you that for Mary, it's something she enjoys. She's not being ashamed because she's not getting upset. The newsagent's not stigmatising her and saying she can't come in anymore. The daughter's not embarrassed. So whose well-being is this about? Is it about us? So another example would be when someone wears clothes that are not matching. So they might go out in their pyjama bottoms and their t-shirt, and they might even not have brushed their hair or got shoes on. But if that person chose those clothes and feels comfortable and happy in those clothes, who's got the problem? It's usually us that's judging them by their not being conforming. So this goes back to what John Swinton was saying in his book In the Eyes of God, and in his in Tom Kitwood's book Dementia Reconsidered. We have to change our minds about people's minds who've changed from dementia, and dementia is our problem. If we can understand it, we won't fear it. If we can support people and give families hope, and also give families a break, because that's where I see the church community being able to help with respite support, because often families talk to me about feeling really upset and stressed, and they need time to recover from that. And there's never enough respite beds, aged care beds. So as a church community and the accommodation that you have, you could offer a day program, a social day program, where clients could come together and do art, cooking, gardening, music, pets, dance, photography, or just being with people that make them feel like they matter. I can see the church having a great opportunity there.